So I'm gonna try to rank all of the Mortal Kombat games. I played most of them, if not all of them, so I have a good understanding of how most of them play. This is my own personal tier list, but I'm also trying to see if the community would agree as well because I feel like because I don't want it to be a community ranking. I want it to be my personal list. So that you guys could also get a taste of what I enjoy, but also hear out my reasoning because maybe I have a decent argument. Most of the time I don't, but and if you guys don't know or probably already know, Mortal Kombat is probably my favorite video game series of all time. I started with Deadly Alliance on the PS2. And I played everything day one, starting from Mortal Kombat 9 all the way to what is it, Mortal Kombat 1. Still don't know why that was the decision, but um, yeah, I mean, I've played them. I played them recreationally. I played them professionally in quotations, but and just overall having a great time with each and every one. Even Mortal Kombat 1 to an extent. In the beginning of the game, I won't lie, I was dick riding the shit out of that. Until, later on you start to take off the rose tinted glasses and see exactly what they're kind of doing to you, and it's like, okay, I guess I wasted a pre-order. So, should we start with the first Mortal Kombat, like the actual trilogy? Then we got Mortal Kombat 2. I think there's 3. Yeah, Mortal Kombat 3. Okay, so let's start with the original Mortal Kombat. Where would I rank it? I think the original Mortal Kombat, and it's by the way, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, the original Mortal Kombat. Now, I didn't personally grow up in this era of when this game came out. However, I like this game for the sole fact of the lore that went around it. So essentially, like when this game came out, it basically drove the general population into a pre-Armageddon, because of the violence, and by violence I mean a couple of pixels that somewhat look like humans, ripping off heads and having pixelated blood spurt out. Apparently, that would have just crippled the minds of the youth if they would have seen that. And I mean, this shit went to court, bro. I don't know how far up in the jurisdiction that it went in, but this shit went to court. Like they was literally fighting to censor this shit. It hit news. It got to the point that they created like a whole rating system for games when they come out, so people could know like, hey, listen, this shit, it is not something you could play again, with your pappy in the room. This is for the hardcore motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Like, um. So Mortal Kombat was the pioneer of just like taking shit to the extreme and making it work, and now it flourished into a multi-million dollar franchise, and uh, that I can definitely agree that the original Mortal Kombat has a lot of weight to it when it comes to the impact that it had on not only the Mortal Kombat community but the fighting game community as a whole and video games as a whole too. So it definitely gets a lot of points with that. Far as mechanics wise, I mean, it was in the 2D era, but I mean, it was fun for the 2D era, and then like the inclusion of fatalities being a way to like finish off your friends, and it's just like you guys have a laugh together and all types of shit. Like it's like you're almost looking forward to beating the battle in order to execute those moves and shit. You know what I mean? Of course, also having like the special moves. Oh, I think it had like the telephone system where you kind of input the combo as you're going. Um, it, I mean, it it worked at the time. There was a lot of cheese. It was an arcade game. It was an actual booth at the arcade that you can go to, not booth, but like, cabinet at the arcade. So it had its complications where it needed to make its own, make money back. So there was a lot of cheese, but then there was like the whole console versions and the tournament versions that kind of smooth things out. I think Shang Tsung was the final boss too, which is OP, super iconic, super fucking iconic. The fact that he turns into you, he also turns into a couple of different um characters and shit while you're fighting him. He's also like the old Shang Tsung too, so he's actually kind of menacing. You're on like the fucking iconic World Tournament, Mortal Kombat tournament stage with all the monks in the background and shit is so heat, bro. It's so heat. The roster was pretty tiny, if I'm not mistaken. It was like two, like eight characters probably total. If I'm not mistaken, it was Raiden, Kano, Johnny Cage, Liu Kang, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and wait, Raiden, Kano, Sonya. Yeah, Raiden, Kano, Sonya, Liu Kang, Raiden, Kano, Sonya, Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, Scorpion, Sub-Zero. Am I missing anybody? I don't think I'm missing it. Well, I'm missing one more technically because if it was eight, right? Did I say Raiden? If it's Raiden, but yeah, they had a decent casting, and then like you had Shang Tsung too, but he wasn't playable. He was only a boss character. Uh, the epitome of a bullshit boss character, by the way. I played it, beat him on probably like I will take the Tree Sentinel in the beginning of Elden Ring anytime instead of playing one of those old school fucking Mortal Kombat games. They did not care about your mental state. They don't. They do not care. They're like, go ahead, keep throwing your head at this wall. We're not gonna stop. You feel me? Like we're gonna, if anything, we're gonna put the gas on even more. Once we start getting to Deadly Alliance and stuff, we're gonna get into some juicy things. But I think I spent too much time on the original Mortal Kombat. Either way, it is a very big testament of its time and big for the lore. I'm gonna go ahead and just put Mortal Kombat right here. I'm gonna put it in five. Again, it wasn't really something that I grew up on and played a lot. I only played it recently through like the remasters and the tournament editions. But I can respect it. It's fun. It's a blast to play with friends. It's a dope ass experience to kind of, you know, just fuck around with, you know? I'm sure there's probably local tournaments somewhere in like Nevada that still has like Mortal Kombat tournaments and stuff, so, you know. And it's a decent enough things to do and just, overall shout out to Mortal Kombat for making such a fuss about itself. Now Mortal Kombat 2. Far as the original trilogy of Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 2 was the one I had the least experience with. However, it was the one that felt the most polished to me. Um, Mortal Kombat 2 was a video game that where you know how movies have that stigma of like it's not better than the sequel. I mean, it's not better than the original. Nah, Mortal Kombat 2 is the complete opposite of that. That's why I feel like I have to move Mortal Kombat 2 down to I mean Mortal Kombat 1 down to 6, and then Mortal Kombat 1 down to 6, and then Mortal Kombat 2 to 5. Because I feel like 2 really fucking perfected everything. Like it really polished the whole thing. It started to take itself a lot more seriously. So off rip, character select is 12, so that's four more than Mortal Kombat 1. They added Kung Lao Reptile, which is a new reshade of um of the Scorpion clan, you know what I mean? All of them were just sharing the same skins, just different poses. They added Katana as well. You can now play as young Shang Tsung, which is cool. They added Baraka. Was Jackson one? Nah, he wasn't in one. I think Jackson got introduced in one. I mean in two. And then you have Melina, which is a clone of Katana. And then Baraka. Baraka is an interest. I didn't think Baraka went back so far, but it's pretty sick that Baraka was featured in Mortal Kombat 2. So he's a very OG character. Yeah, they did add babalities. So they added babalities. They had friendships, not animalities. Animalities came in Mortal Kombat 3. They also introduced stage fatalities, or I think they added additional stage fatalities. Because technically in Mortal Kombat 1, there was a stage fatality on the pit. And then also Liu Kang's fatality, I think, does it too. I think Liu Kang is the only one who could do it. Um, but yeah, either way, like Mortal Kombat 2 is just Mortal Kombat 1 but better. Something that you could play a lot more frequently. I know the move list is very expansive for all of the characters as well. There is some balancing issues. There's a lot of infinites in the game that you'll soon realize. You could just look up a YouTube video and you'll see most of it. I think Shao Kahn might be the final boss for that, if I'm not mistaken. I also think Kentaro was a boss too. Yeah, Kentaro might have been a boss. I'm not too sure. But either way, I mean, everything was just ramped up to 10. I mean, the gameplay hasn't really changed much. If anything, it might have gotten a little bit faster, which is to its benefit. Um, and everything was turned up to 10, so that's why I feel like Mortal Kombat 2 was, the epitome of it. Um, of that trilogy, in my opinion. Now, we're gonna get to Mortal Kombat 3, Mortal Kombat 3. So, there's two different versions of Mortal Kombat 3. There's Mortal Kombat 3, the original, and then they have Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what it's called, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. If we were going with regular Mortal Kombat 3, it would be down here somewhere. They didn't have Scorpion. I feel like that's a big no-no. And then also overall, I didn't really have that much playtime with that game, the original one. I played Ultimate first. Um, but yeah, if we're talking about the original, which honestly I'll just put the original down here for keepsake. It's between these ooh, it's between these three right here. I don't have any playtime with it, but I've seen gameplay of it, and it feels like a step down from Mortal Kombat 2. Uh, for instance, I believe, like I said, Scorpion isn't in the game, but let me look up the actual um character sheet. Yeah, hear this lineup. So you got Jax Briggs. And this is the returning characters, by the way. Jax Briggs, Kano, Kung Lao, Liu Kang, Noob Saibot, only accessible via secret code, so that means it was a cheat code character. Shang Tsung, Smoke, who's also available through a secret code character. Sonya Blade and Sub-Zero, which isn't a bad lineup. But no Scorpion, bro, is weird. That's mad. You're gonna include fucking well, Smoke is cool. You're gonna include Kung Lao over Scorpion? To me, don't make sense. To me, don't make sense. And then you're including Cyrax, Cabal, Nightwolf, Sector, Shiva, Sindel, and Striker. So 6 out of the 7 um, characters who like really truly made an impact, then there's Striker. Um, Dope ass characters, like I said, it introduced a lot. But realistically, I just want to see if there's any like secret character. Wasn't not not Kotal Khan, Shao Kahn playable? Yeah, no, there's not extra characters. But it added stuff like the chain combos and everything. Like, also the run mechanic was super good, but it felt rushed. It definitely felt like it. This is from like tournament gameplay that I've seen. It it was a mixture of both like a very fluid and fast gameplay, but the moves couldn't keep up with itself. I don't, and that's why I'm ranking Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 a little bit differently. I would put Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 right about here. Um, Not the best in the trilogy, definitely the worst in the trilogy, in my personal opinion, and I only had minuscule amount of time with this. Again, this is a personal list. But when I played it, it was a blast to play, but Mortal Kombat 2 just felt smoother. Like more I don't know what it is, but I feel like it was like games during that time had a weird read of the analog stick. Um, and it just didn't translate that well, at least in my personal opinion, through Mortal Kombat well. Like it didn't have a good read on the stick. I really don't truly enjoy the games from the 2D era that well, like the OG 2D era that well. But in Mortal Kombat 3, it was a lot prevalent, especially with the run mechanic, because the run mechanic had a weird type of targeting to it, or like lock on to the characters. Um, Again, my personal opinion, it just didn't feel fun to play because I always felt like I missed or the combos wouldn't lead to anything. That's more of a skill issue, but it did knock down some points because it definitely showed a lot of the blemishes that the games of that era had during that time. However, Um, between this and the original Mortal Kombat 3, yeah, it's light years ahead. I think they re-added Scorpion, right? Let me go ahead and get the character list real quick. Yeah, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 added Jade, Katana. Oh, Jade and Scorpion. Smoke is still playable. Melina still play. Ermac, they added Ermac to it. Super sick. Human Smoke. Then they also added Rain. That's sick. They added 2v2 combat to it. They added an 8-player tournament combat. Chain combos, commonly called Dyla combos. Um, and you could start it with a jump punch or a hop kick. So that kind of started like you know how nowadays people be jumping and like kicking you and then they go into their like ground combos as soon as they land. Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 was where that shit started. Um, let me see what else. My mic died, y'all. I am so sorry. I have been streaming for a while though. It's coming up on 7 hours. Sorry, it's just been a while since I played these games, so I had to kind of be like reintroduced to what it added. But it's cool though because I feel like I'm learning more than I knew before. It had an iOS version too. I remember that era. Cyber Smoke was in this game too. Mataro's in this game. Shao Kahn introduced Chameleon somewhat. Oh yeah, they added animalities. That's sick. Like they just went full goofy with that game. I'm not even gonna hold you. Yeah, I just remember this game was super super fun. It really felt like a conglomerate of all of the Mortal Kombat games together, and it really you could tell it was leading up to this. Like every era of Mortal Kombat's have like their Armageddon, what I like to call it, or their like Infinity War moments. And Mortal Kombat 3 was that for the trilogy, where everything kind of like came together. They threw all of their assets into one game and just try to give you as much content as possible, you know what I mean, to round it out. Um, I think it went very, very well. Like I said, don't have a lot of touch time with it, but um, I have to say I did have a blast playing it. But I did have more playtime with Mortal Kombat 2, and for the testament of its time and something to represent that era, I would say Mortal Kombat 2 is my favorite. Alright, enough yapping about the trilogy. Now we're getting into the introduction of 3D Mortal Kombat. Yes, 3 dimensions. We are walking in front of you and shaking this ass behind you. And we're starting with Kombat 4 Gold. I play this game sporadically and I can never get through the second round for some reason. I mean, honestly, like, this is kind of a weird. I'll put this up here. And then this would probably be over here. I have slight playtime with this. Every time I go to the I only ever play this game in the arcade. I never found any rhyme or reason to get a disc version of this game growing up, and then now that I have emulation, it never crossed my mind to download Mortal Kombat Gold. Um, it was a 3D era game. It was around the time everybody was trying it out. I think Street Fighter Turbo X 3D or I don't know. They came out with a 3D fighting game too around this time. It was like Tekken was making everybody like fucking itch their faces with addiction towards that whole 3D arena fighter type not arena fighter, but you know what I mean. But they didn't. Every other developer didn't know that Tekken had already perfected it. Them and Soul Calibur. That like anybody else who tried to become a competitor, it was just not going to work unless you have a particular niche and a particular fondness for these games. If you're seeking professional gameplay or something that seems polished, once you're getting into these 3D era games, you're only going there for pure enjoyment and fan service. That's it. Like, and chilling with your homeboys and like, or your homies and shit, coming over, just throwing on something to fuck around on for a while. Something that you play mostly single player as well, just mostly going through the story and shit. Like that's how Mortal Kombat always felt. Like it felt like a single player fighting game. Like I didn't mind playing against other people, but like the content that was filled in a Mortal Kombat game was always top tier. Now in Mortal Kombat 4, it was just wacky. I remember the endings and shit, especially Reiko's ending. That just still haunts my fucking dreams. But I mean, it was filled with decent content. I think it was more of an arcade game, if anything. So, like, far as like side shit that you could do on console, it wasn't really like much. You had a couple extra modes, and that was about it. It had a decent character select screen, and by the way, when I make this a full fledged YouTube video, I'll put the character select screens for each of the game that I'm mentioning. But it was, like it was a start. You could see where it was leading up to. Like people say that Deadly Alliance was the start of the 3D era. No, it was Mortal Kombat 4. I remember there were like weapons and stuff that you could pick up in the arena, which got reintroduced again in Deception. So it did have some stuff that did carry on later on. So the character designs were kind of ass. Everything about the game was just kind of mid, to be honest with you. It wasn't terrible, but it was just mid. There was some things that were bad about it, like some of the animations just didn't make sense, and there was a lot of repeat animations as well. But I mean, they tried. I mean, kudos for innovation. It was in Mortal Kombat 3, but to each its own. I think that's Mortal Kombat 4 Gold. I'm not ranking them separate because I only played one of them. Now we're getting into the fun part. Anyway, we're gonna get into Deadly Alliance real quick. Motherfucking Deadly Alliance. So, I'm gonna go ahead and already put this somewhere around here. You know what? I'm gonna be a little bit bold. I'm gonna put this here. Just because I don't, like, again, I didn't grow up in this era. This wasn't the game for me. It's the same thing with people saying Michael Jackson is the GOAT. Yes, Michael Jackson is the GOAT. But when other people say that maybe, like, Chris Brown or somebody else is the GOAT to them, and that's their Michael Jackson, it all depends on the area that you grew up in. But I did go and venture out and explore these other games, and this is from, like, my own very opinion. Given the lore aside, playing the games wasn't as exciting. Mortal Kombat 2 was fun, and I played it a lot, so that's why it's super high. But honestly, I'll bring it down to about, like, here, maybe. Because, again, and then I'll even bring this down a little bit. And like, if I was to sit down now and have all of the Mortal Kombat games at my disposal, will I pick up Mortal Kombat 2 and 1 to play first? Absolutely not. Especially not Mortal Kombat 3. I don't even know why Mortal Kombat 4 is on the table to begin with. You know what I mean? But off of experience of them, they were fun. Now, Deadly Alliance. I have revisited this game probably at different stages of my life, starting from like single digits to double digits, teens to young adult. Anytime I had a PS2 or some type of emulation to play PS2 games, I would always run to Deadly Alliance. This was the first video game I ever played on the PlayStation 2. It was um, bittersweet moment because this was my dad's game. Uh, it also scared the living shit out of me when there was a fatality, specifically the one where Quan Chi would get on top of your head and like pull you up. It just freaked me the fuck out. Um, but later on, as I grew up and my balls finally dropped, I was able to play the game and see an appreciation and like understand how genuinely fun the game was. It's a game in the series that's not mentioned enough. It kind of gets overshadowed by Deception and Armageddon, but Deadly Alliance was really like the starting point for a polished Mortal Kombat 3D fighter. Um, and they did it really well. Like did a pretty good job of distinguishing like making them separate from Tekken because they added shit like the weapon system and like the different like martial arts that you could switch from, different stances basically. Um, they added back uh, the weapon in the arena because I think you could pick up certain weapons from certain arenas. Um, it excluded stage fatalities, which always bugged me because there was a couple of maps that looked like they were supposed to have stage fatalities, like the one where it's the acid babies and they're like shooting it onto the arena. There's a pool of acid around you and it like feels like you could uppercut them into it, but you can't. So that's kind of annoying, you know. So, um, but besides that, far as side modes, you really only have like conquest mode, which is really just a big ass glorified tutorial, or like a combo master essentially. But it is fun. You get to touch every single character in the game, um, even before you unlock them in the actual game through the crypt, which the crypt is super fun and one of it probably has the most goated crypt of all time with like its side content. They have cooking with Scorpion. They had a couple of things, man. They had a couple of dope concept art. They had a couple of jump scares and shit in the crypt. It was genuinely scary because you would just hear people like screaming and fucking like fighting for their lives in the background, and you're over there just trying to open up coffins to see if you could get a new skin. Um, oh, the fucking "you can't kill me, I'm immortal" that shit, fucking goated. That was my ringtone in school. I literally put my phone next to the speaker and recorded it, and then fucking somehow assigned it because I had one of those like cheap ass androids that could literally do anything on Earth. The skins was dope. The character designs was sick. Probably one of my favorite versions of Scorpion, if not my favorite version of Scorpion, and Shang Tsung too. Shang Tsung's outfit in that game, like his default outfit, was super dope. I didn't like Sub Zero that much. Sub Zero I could have done without. I feel like his secondary costume, where he actually had his mask on, should have been his default. And then the secondary could have been a variation of what he had as his primary, but better, because he just kind of looked like um, James Bond, but not in a good way. Uh, it was cool. You know, it was definitely the start. The gameplay was nothing crazy to rave about, but the kind of way that they link all of the move sets together between the three different classes that you have, or three different martial arts that you can use, including your weapons, like the way that it links together, it's super, super sick. It also has a really good port to the Game Boy, which is not talked about a lot. Like, it's genuinely the game on a Game Boy. Uh, and if you know anything about the Game Boy back in the it like it was struggling to do it wasn't struggling to do it, but like it was the first in its era to kind of get handheld gaming right to an extent. But Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, I think it was Tournament Edition, pushed that shit to the edge. And I think you could get Blaze too in that version. So I'm just gonna put it at 4 because it was the start of my video games. Like, it was literally the start of me loving video games. It was and my love for fighting games in general too. So uh, shout out to shout out to Deadly Alliance. After that, I think it's but I think it is Deception. Mortal Kombat Deception. Mortal Kombat Deception's one for me. I'll move Deadly Alliance. I think that one is deserving of 5. Because what Deadly Alliance introduced, Deception like perfected it. Feeling the best nature of the game, how dark it was, the story. Basically, it starts with Raiden, Shang Tsung, and Quan Chi just fucking offing themselves in order to stop Onaga. Well, Raiden basically sacrificing all three of them, and Quan Chi's like, I ain't signed up for this. And they blew up trying to kill Onaga, which is basically a reincarnation of a dragon god, or the elder gods, essentially. Um, and he came back. It basically, it was Shujinko's fault. That's all you should know. And besides going into the actual conquest story, just know it's all Shujinko's fault. Um, Deception also introduced some really. Oh, sorry. Deception really also introduced a lot of dope game modes, like side game modes. That's what I really remember it for, because one of my favorite additions to any of the Mortal Kombat series was chess combat,
where it's just chess, but instead of like immediately losing your piece, you could actually throw hands and fight it out. And each of the pieces, like you choose different Mortal Kombat characters to represent each of the pieces, and then depending on the pieces, they have like different amounts of health, and different like little buffs and shit like that. Um, and yeah, you play out a full fledged chess match, but instead of losing your pieces, you throw hands, and that's such a dope concept. And then they had Tetris, which I think is even cooler. Um, like basically it was like puzzle combat, and then you could get like certain power ups, and all you're basically doing is like pushing them closer to the stage fatality or whatever. Uh, it was just goofy. It was fun. All the character roster was super super dope too. I think it introduced the first pseudo tag team character, which was Noob Saibot and Smoke. Um, they also had Zombie Liu Kang. A lot of the characters you had to unlock through Conquest mode, which I mean honestly, that Conquest mode is uh, they didn't need to cook so hard with that Conquest mode. Like it could have been its own separate game. That was how good it was, and it was an introduction of what Shaolin monks would eventually be, because it was really in depth. It really was. Um, and then I remember like unlocking Liu Kang, you had to be in a certain area, deep within the map at a certain time. Like it was wild. It was fucking wild. They put a lot of love and effort into that game. Like it was super fun. And then again, I think Mortal Kombat in a dark setting is like peanut butter and jelly. It just goes together perfectly. And Deception went all in. Like it was straight pierce the veil, fucking trippy red. Like it was depressing. Like, you know what I mean? Like you didn't know who truly was a good guy and who was a bad guy. You know. And then especially with Shijinko, like all of it being his fault, like you even feel even worse. So it's like, yeah. Deception was fun, man. It was I had the game so many different times. I want to play it again once I go through like a history of Mortal Kombat type of playthrough at some point. But just to move on for time's sake, yeah, Mortal Kombat Deception takes it. It's beautiful. I don't know if you want to click off already now, but I don't know if this might change. We'll see, because there is another game in the series that I think might give it a run for its money, but we'll see. Mortal Kombat Armageddon. That's what I'm looking for. That's Deception. Uh, where is Armageddon? How you gonna forget Armageddon? They really don't have Armageddon here. What the fuck? Or am I just missing it? Okay. Well, we're just gonna use Deception as a placeholder for that. Mortal Kombat Armageddon is again what Mortal Kombat Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 was for the 2D era. Mortal Kombat Armageddon was the same thing for the 3D era, but now it's like everything plus the kitchen sink, as well as like the piping to the kitchen sink, the faucet. You're getting everything. It's very dumbed down. The gameplay of the game is very, very, very dumbed down. I think you're limited to one martial art and one weapon, which, I mean, honestly, it got rid of a lot of the fluff. There is a lot of repeated moves. There is a lot of yeah, a lot of repeats. I'll say that Armageddon is repeat galore. However, the things that Armageddon included was a create a class or create a fighter, first of its kind, and it was fun, man. Go on YouTube and look up some of the creative classes. Like people made like Superman, Ninja Turtles, fucking Ninja Gaiden, all types of shit. Goku. It was a dope it was a dope, and just like kind of seeing people like go through the Mortal Kombat tower. It's like Michael Jackson and shit. It was a blast. And then there was made it replayable because you were able to go back and like buy all of the customizable items, and it gave you a reason to chase. And the crypt was 3 times the size of any of the crypts that we've seen up to this time. um, it included cart combat, which isn't my favorite minigame, but it's charming as shit, and I would play it over and over again. Like, I have no complaints about it. I just didn't really play it as much. But it was super fun. It added another conquest mode, which basically took what it did in Deception and just added even more to it. I think, honestly speaking, like, far as like a full-fledged side game mode, Conquest Deception did well with Conquest as far as telling a story and kind of introducing the combat into it. But far as it being a standalone game mode, I think Armageddon's game mode would probably be more superior, just because it incorporated a lot of like actual in-game combat rather than switching into like the fighting game itself, uh, which was, it was innovative as fuck. To It's basically having two games in one. Like, you have a God of War esque gameplay, which I think that's where it was taking inspiration from for its style. Um, but yeah, I mean, even the story was pretty good. Like, it kind of got complicated at some points, but realistically, it was just one brother hates. There's one brother that's evil, one brother that's good. Da 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 Blaze. So the fucking roster is enormous, by the way. Like, just take a look one day. I'll put the roster somewhere on here, but it's enormous, man. Like, anybody who was even mentioned, whispered about in the fucking Mortal Kombat lore is probably in this game somewhere. There's two different versions of Chameleon, bro. Anything's possible. I think this was one of the only games too where I think without glitching you could play as Motaro, but he for some reason only has 2 legs, which I don't think is ever explained, or maybe in his ending, I don't know. But Mortal Kombat Armageddon, it's a blast, man. It's just the Infinity War the end game of like the Mortal Kombat series. Does it really well, no complaints. Um, Here's what I'll do. I'll bring this here and put this down here. I'll put Armageddon like at a 5. Yeah, like around there. Like around there, because I feel like, well, what do we have left? We have a couple of hitters. Um, I might have to move this around because we don't have that many games, but yeah. So that Armageddon. Yeah, it was at like I would like say a 5, honestly, because it was pretty average. Like, it was an average fucking game. As far as gameplay wise, I mean, but as far as content, bro, there's nothing to like about that. It killed in the content department. Mortal Kombat versus DC. Mortal Kombat 9. Oh man, now we're getting to some fun parts, and also the hardest decision, because this is top two for sure. Mortal Kombat 9 was top two for sure. This was one of the games that I remember just like, at the time I was working, but at the same time it was difficult for the family, whatever. So I always wanted to make sure I saved my bread, whatever, for whenever I needed it. But this game was the first game I ever pre-ordered. I pre-ordered this game because I was that excited to hear Mortal Kombat was coming back after so long, because there was a huge gap between Armageddon and, well, DC Universe and Mortal Kombat. And MK versus DC wasn't received very well, so we didn't know if there was really going to be any chance for Mortal Kombat in the future. Boom, here comes Mortal Kombat 9. I remember the trailer like it was yesterday, where Raiden is getting ripped the fuck apart by Shao Kahn. And then Melina and Scorpion were fighting against Jax and Sub-Zero. Scorpion pulls off Sub-Zero's head, puts it in his chest. Oh man, that was so glorious. It was such a great trailer. Then getting down to the gameplay, to me, is the best Mortal Kombat has ever felt. It was super fast, super shifty. The combo system was extremely fun to like to pair things together and link things together. It was so fun. Um, yeah, just overall, I like it. It was such a blast. The character, like it was basically retelling the original Mortal Kombat trilogy in the new era with a whole different system. It's a 2.5D fighter. That means like everything is in 3D, but the plane of fighting is 2D. Um, so it took a lot of the original characters from Mortal Kombat 1 through 3, like Nightwolf and stuff is included in the original Mortal Kombat. Um, and yeah, like the character designs from them are iconic and amazing. I think one of my favorite Johnny Cage uh, designs is from that game with him with the tattoo on his chest and shit. It's like that's Johnny to me. It's between that one and the one from Deadly Alliance, but I just like Deadly Alliance because of how much of a Chad he looks like. Um, but yeah, everybody's character designs were sick. The females, top tier. The story, as memeable as it was the start of something very great. I liked it. I like what it built up to. I feel like Raiden. I think Raiden needs to go back to training, for being the protector of Earthrealm because boy, I don't know what the fuck he was doing, but I think it worked out in the end. I guess. Um, the crypt was amazing. I remember that they had the iconic challenge tower. Try to complete all 300. I haven't personally completed all 300, but I got really close. I think I was in the 200 range. Um, the unlockable side uh, characters and shit. Like I think one of the side characters were Cyber. Oh well, I think it's Quan Chi and Cyber Sub Zero. Yeah. Um, Dope ass characters to unlock, especially Cyber Sub Zero. It's a really good take on Sub Zero, and it doesn't play exactly like him. Like it's a completely different moveset. It's also the first game with DLC characters, and a really great lineup of DLC characters. I must say, it was Scarlet. Who was it? It was Scarlet, Kenshi, Freddy Krueger, and then one more character that I can't think of. Rain. It was Rain. Great lineup. Great, absolutely great lineup. I think Kenshi was my favorite of the four. Freddy Krueger introducing guest characters. Well, technically, Kratos was the first guest character in the game. He was a PlayStation exclusive. And it was kind of the same feeling that people got when Soul Calibur introduced the Star Wars characters. Um, it was like, what? This could happen now? And well, we've seen over the years what has happened, and yeah, it happened. um, but Kratos being in the game, I remember he was super iconic for being shorter than certain projectiles, so he was basically naturally um, dodging projectiles when they landed. I mean, when they were sent out, which is a dope way of making him. I think he was banned in certain tournaments and shit because of that, but I mean, either way, like the DLC characters were goaded. Freddy Krueger was probably my second favorite, and then Scarlet. Uh, Rain I didn't really play that much with, but I just remember the playstyle being extremely fast, really fluid, um, extremely polished. Like I said, they're going back to their roots, and they really like took it by the horns and rode it all the way to the sunset. Um, every patch felt needed though. There was a lot of broken characters. Like I think like Cyrax was pretty nasty at some point. Noob was extremely spammy, especially that fucking teleport where he throws it at your feet. Like yeah, there was times that it got really annoying, but um, yeah, I think just far as like Mortal Kombat 9, it reinstated Mortal Kombat back on the map and brought it back into modern times. Without Mortal Kombat 9, I don't think it would have been able to reboot itself the way it did, and it did it gloriously. There's very minuscule complaints I have about this game. The only reason why I think I'll put Deception there on my personal list is because of pure nostalgia. I just had really good memories playing this game growing up. So, um, but overall, like if we're talking gameplay wise, absolutely Mortal Kombat 9 would be ahead of Mortal Kombat Deception, hands down. I don't even think Mortal Kombat Deception would be in top three if it was just solely off of gameplay. Um, Next is Mortal Kombat X, which is right here. Mortal Kombat X. Now, I'm gonna say this with a heart full of regret. I did not give this game a chance when it first came out. I am now rediscovering it. Recently rediscovering Mortal Kombat X. I played it sporadically during its life cycle. It's just whenever I got into it, I was also playing other things that had my interests more, um, and I just never gave it the time of day. But now coming into Mortal Kombat X recently, I'm discovering where the hype was going. Like, finally being able to comprehend what how to use a controller a little bit better, being able to string combos and kind of having that awareness of how to play competitively. Mortal Kombat X has the perfect gameplay style. Like the way the game plays, it is the best Mortal Kombat has ever felt. I like MK9 because it's just a little bit more faster and twitchier. But Mortal Kombat X felt more polished. This game is the reason why I think tournaments and stuff exist for this, and why a lot of people take it seriously, and why like things like Sonic Fox and people like Sonic Fox and stuff exist is because of Mortal Kombat X, bro. It's it's it it did so much right. Everything down from the art style and the designs of the characters. The characters were gritty. Like it kind of gave me the same energy that like a Deadly Alliance and stuff gave me. Like it was a lot darker. I it's funny because they did have like an exuberant amount of sweat on their bodies to the point like that everybody looked like they were reptiles race. Um, but I just remember all of the character designs were dope. I think they introduced like living towers for the first time and shit too, where you could unlock like certain skins, a little bit more currency. There's a whole lot of skins now, and then like a whole lot of bought and paid DLC skins. Um, it it was just a blast. Like I think putting it higher for what it is, like it probably is the best way, like the best feeling. Beside Mortal Kombat 9 is just more fun for me, just because of how fast it is. But overall, perfected gameplay it comes from MKX hands down. MK11. It pains me to say that MK11 is not one of my favorites. The only reason why I have a lot of playtime with it is because it had me hooked on the gear system. I like the gear system. A lot of people didn't like it. I liked it because it gave you a little bit more extra personality to your characters and made them feel unique to you, which a lot of fighting games kind of lack. But Mortal Kombat 11 allowed you to like customize your character. It felt like that's your character. That like when people see him online, they'll see that unique outfit that you have and be like and associate it with you. I liked it. It was cool. The gameplay though, it was a drag at times. Some things just didn't feel like it worked. It felt a lot slower. Um, the stamina always felt like it ran out too quickly. I like what people did with certain characters and stuff. Like you could make your own move sets and shit. Like the AI battles and stuff are pretty cool, but I mean, besides the living towers, which kind of give it like a little bit of a RPG aspect of it, where you're chasing loot and you got to get through get through all of the floors and stuff like that in order to get to the boss battle. So I think I think Mortal Kombat 11 is okay, but it's not the greatest. Mortal Kombat 1. Pip Pip Cheerio. Just because we've been on this video for a while, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but here's all I'll tell you. Beginning stages, I would have put it around here, somewhere around here. Now, honestly, keep the trilogies together. I don't mind this being. And people will agree. I think a couple of people will agree. Let me move this a little bit. I think some people will agree. It deserves to be this low. Too many issues. Too many problems. I'm sorry. And too bare bones. Oh my god. Like, the first Mortal Kombat game to be on a PlayStation. And this is what you bring us? Like, literally. How is a game from 2008 and 2009 or whatever, maybe 2010, have more content than you, bro? You literally gave us a fucking game board and said have fun. It didn't even feel good to play through. Like, you gave the only thing beyond just the regular fights that you have to do in that little game, what is it called? Chaos mode or whatever. Um, the only things you could do outside of fighting is the little projectile shits, and those are more annoying than fun. You know what I mean? The game looks great. Again, that's a given with Mortal Kombat, but it didn't feel good fun to play. And then like the cameo system felt like an offshoot. I started to slowly kind of get into it, but it's like, why would you why would you tease us by having these full fledged characters with like full animations and all of that, but make it so that they're only an assist? That's wild to me. That's really really wild to me. Mortal Kombat 1 deserves to be here, and I think this is where I'm gonna end off my list. This is just the fighting game portion. I feel like Shaolin Monks shouldn't be included. If it is included, I would put it like top three for sure. That's my like top three favorite Mortal Kombat games. Um, but I don't know. Maybe you guys hate this list. You're probably throwing up in your mouth right now, but I think it's not that bad. I don't think it's that bad. I think it's somewhat accurate, and I'm proud of myself. Anyways, yeah, that was a pretty good palate cleanser, right?